What's happened to your hair?
I cut it off, brother. I didn't want to look like you.
If you missed details like Sir Robyn Rhysling's sigil, a new show-only sigil, Aerion's dagger sheath being the same as Prince Baelor's, Aerion unintentionally copying both the greens and the blacks, and proof that Aerion came looking for trouble when he found Tanselle, etc., then this is the video for you. As usual, I'll break down this episode scene by scene, compare them with the books, and uncover tiny details you might have missed. So, let's begin. Greetings, Throne Watchers! Since I've already discussed all the scenes and my initial thoughts in my episode 3 livestream, I'll just mention the scene before moving on to the book to show changes. So, let's begin. Scene. The episode begins with Egg worrying about Dunk, then sneaking off to train Thunder in order to help Dunk. There he meets Sir Robyn Rhysling for the first time. Book to show changes. None of this happens in the books and is kind of like a filler until the main events happen. Most of the episode is kind of like a filler. In the books, Egg knew Sir Robyn Rhysling from the other tourneys, giving the impression he had seen him multiple times. But on the show, it seems like Egg meets Sir Robyn Rhysling for the second time before remembering he lost an eye to a splinter 5 years ago. Also, in the books, we barely know anything about Sir Robyn's thoughts and beliefs. But on the show, it seems like he is a devout follower of the warrior, as he mentions being a vessel for the warrior. Do you think he is a religious guy? What do you think? In this shot, Egg takes Dunk's longsword to go train Thunder. You can see a saddle, some saddlebags, and other things lying beneath the tree. I've already discussed all of these items in my promo pick breakdown video. In this shot, you can see Thunder's saddlecloth, which I've also mentioned in my previous videos. Egg has put Dunk's longsword on Thunder. I don't understand why he did that. You can get a closer look at both of them here. And in this shot, you can see Egg practicing handing Dunk his lance for the jousting. The lance he is carrying is Sir Arlan's war lance. I love how you can instantly notice the differences between the war lance and the tourney lance. Just in case you are not aware of the differences, here are some. I'm mentioning this now because these details might be important in the future if they follow the books. Anyway, a war lance is 8 feet long, whereas a tourney lance is 12 feet long. A war lance is made of banded ash, whereas a tourney lance is made of tapered wood made to break on impact. The war lance ends in iron or steel point. A tourney lance ends in rounded iron. A war lance is designed to pierce plate armor and kill the opponent, whereas a tourney lance is designed to knock the opponent off their horse, not to kill them. A war lance is heavier than a tourney lance, and a tourney lance is lighter than a war lance. Although I'll admit that just by looking at the clips, the tourney lance didn't seem much longer than Sir Arlan's war lance on the show. What do you think? In this shot, you can see the pommel of Sir Robyn Rysling's sword, which is shaped like the fletching of an arrow, and in the next shot, you can see he is carrying a plain dagger and is walking bare feet. Do you think he is similar to the sparrows or something? You know, the warriors of the faith from Game of Thrones? In the flashback scene, where one of Sir Robyn's eye got stabbed with a splinter from the broken lance, we can see several green, blue and orange flags, but it's really hard to tell which houses they belong to. In the next shot, you can see Sir Robyn's sigil on his shield, which is an oaken door banded with iron in a grey stone on black, but we can also see a window here. In the books, it's supposed to be on black masonry, but it just seems plain black on the show. And in this shot, after Egg returns, we can see a saddle and saddlebags on the ground. Since we already saw a saddle and some saddlebags beneath the tree earlier, do you think this is Thunder's saddle? Next scene. Then we see Egg singing the Targaryen loyalist song, the Hammer and the Anvil. The song is about the strategy that Prince Baelor and Prince Maekar used during the Battle of the Redgrass Field, where the first Blackfire Rebellion was ended 13 years ago. And yes, it's the same battle where Sir Arlan's nephew had also died, and King Darren the Good's bastard brother, Daemon Blackfyre, and his two sons, along with their army, were defeated. In this song, Prince Baelor was the hammer who led the Dornish spearmen against the rear of the Blackfyre army and crushed it against the shield wall of Prince Maekar, who was the anvil. By the way, is it just me, or does it feel like some words are missing from the song Egg is singing, but it's easier to guess what those words could be? Book to show changes. In the books, we don't know much about this song except its title and who it's about. So it was a really nice change to see the actual lyrics. Egg doesn't sing this song in the books. Also, in the books, Dunk already knows that the right of first challenge goes to the Knights of High Birth or Renown, probably thanks to his time with Sir Arlan. But just like the falling star bringing luck scene I discussed earlier, once again, the show made Dunk look even more naive and ignorant than he was in the books by having Egg tell him these commonly known facts. Details: Dunk vomiting behind Egg while Egg is singing before he jumps over the low wall to come talk to Egg. Scene: then Dunk and Egg go to Ashford Meadow again to get some things for breakfast. Tanselle sees him doing some weird chicken dance, or rather goose dance, before telling him his shield will be ready in the evening. Dunk and Egg cook breakfast back at their camp before coming back to watch the second day of the tourney. Book to show changes. Like I said earlier, most of this episode, except the main events, that is, the Aerion incident and the other Aerion incident, doesn't exist in the books. In the books, they just straight up break their fast on goose eggs, fried bread and bacon, and then go to watch the first joust of the tourney, which has already happened at night on the show. In the books, when Dunk looks at Prince Baelor sitting at the dais, he tells Egg that he doesn't look like a Targaryen, and Egg tells him he took after his mother, who was a Dornish princess. And then they watch the 5 champions joust. In this shot, you can see 2 performers behind Dunk. In my promo pic breakdown video, I had assumed they were a group of puppeteers, but after watching this episode, we can see they are 2 performers, probably actors or dancers. We can get a better look at the play, or rather the dancers, here. We saw Dunk and Egg having a breakfast of goose eggs, bread and bacon. In this shot, we can see that Dunk got the goose eggs and Egg got the bread. Who do you think got bacon? In this shot, we get a closer look at half of the performer's stage, and you can see the designs of a cat or a lion, a bird, and a leaf pattern painted on it. What do you think these mean? And in this shot, we once again see Tanselle's pavilion. According to the layout we have discussed earlier, Steely Pate's stall should be to the right of the screen. Scene: on the second day of the tourney, Dunk and Egg watch some matches and then take a break to watch the Ashford Meadow and talk about their future before Plumber arrives and offers Dunk a deal. Book to show changes. The part where Egg asks Dunk about staying on as his squire after the tourney, or Plumber offering Dunk a weird deal, doesn't exist in the books. First, Egg is a prince of the realm. He cannot expect to stay on as Dunk's squire for much longer without Targaryen men finding out about them. Second, Plumber's deal is weird, because if Plumber was just asking Dunk to lose, that would have been one thing, but asking him to win, which he would be trying to do anyway, it doesn't make any sense. What even was the point of that? And if Andrew Ashford was going to throw the match, they didn't need to tell Dunk about it. Andrew could have just pretended to lose to him. Why do you think Plumber offered that deal? Also, Sir Andrew Ashford is the older son in the books, but the show made him the younger son, just like they switched Sir Eric and Sir Arik in House of the Dragon. In this shot, we see Sir Humphrey Harding versus Sir Humphrey Beesbury matchup. I still haven't figured out this shield statue yet, but I think the carving on it looks similar to the cobra, which I'll discuss later. I have already discussed this whole shot in my trailer breakdown video. Then we see Sir Andrew Ashford, as Sir Robert was defeated the night before, defeat a knight with a new sigil. The sigil looks like a yellow cat on black. I think this might be a show original sigil, as I couldn't find it in the books. Whose sigil do you think it is? Then we see the layout of the Ashford Meadow once again when Dunk and Egg are looking at it from a distance. We can see everything from Tanselle's pavilion to the bridge and the stage that I've already discussed in my promo pic breakdown video. In this shot, we get a closer look at one part of the meadow behind Plumber scene, and then Dunk and Egg get back to watch the tourney when it's Aerion's turn to joust. Aerion first stops to check if Prince Maekar is there, smirks when he finds out that he's not, and then decides to show his true colors. He first acts like he is going to challenge Prince Valar before laughing and then challenging Sir Humphrey Harding instead before hurting his horse to defeat Sir Humphrey. When someone has to kill the poor horse, Dunk and Egg decide to leave. Book to show changes. In the books, the part where Aerion stops to check wasn't there, but it was obvious he was only showing his true colors because Prince Maekar wasn't there. Also, in the books, Aerion doesn't just stand and watch. He jumps off his horse, draws his sword, and advances to finish off Sir Humphrey before he is pulled back by Sir Humphrey's and his own squire. So Aerion is much more crueler in the books. The riot also doesn't happen in the books, but I think it's a good way to show the growing tensions between House Targaryen and the other people, which is probably the reason for so many Blackfire rebellions in the future. Also, in the books, Tybolt Lannister defeats Andrew Ashford as well. Both of Lord Ashford's sons get defeated, but Sir Andrew is still going strong on the show. In this shot, we see two shield statues. The one to the right has the engraving of a knight on a horse. The second shield to the left is probably the same one we saw in Sir Humphrey vs Sir Humphrey shot I mentioned earlier. If we zoom in, we see something that looks like a cobra to me, but it's probably something else. What do you think this engraving is? You can see another shot of the shields in this shot, and behind that, there is a shaded area next to the viewing stand, probably for lower knights or lords. In the next shot, you can see Aerion's red and black cloak, and behind him, you can see another shield statue. If you zoom in on it, you can see a weirwood tree carved on it. You can get another look at the tree in this shot. Also, from this angle, it felt like Aerion's red and black cloak has white or silver lightning on it, but in another shot, you can tell it's just the inside of his cloak. I've already discussed the next shot in my trailer breakdown video, but previously, I had assumed it was the first day of the tourney and that both of Lord Ashford's sons were there, and the lineup was the same except for Lionel Baratheon. But it's the second day of the tourney, and it seems like Lionel Baratheon defeated Sir Robert Ashford and took his place as one of the champions. I've already explained the rules for this tourney in my previous video. So the current champions are Sir Andrew Ashford, Lionel Baratheon, Humphrey Harding, Valar Targaryen, and Lord Leo Tyrell. You can see Leo Tyrell's tent in this shot. In this shot, we get a closer look at Prince Valar. If you zoom in, you can see that his cloak is black on the outside and red on the inside. We have already seen Valar's armor in the trailers. You can get a better look at Valar's armor and the Drogon-like dragon figureheads in this shot. In the next shot, we get a closer look at Prince Valar's pavilion. You can see 3 dragon figureheads sticking out of it. You can also see Valar's horse, shield, and his cloak, which is red and black. In the next shot, we see a close-up of the back of Prince Aerion's great helm. If you zoom in on the inside of Valar's cloak here, is it just me, or does it almost look like a black 3-headed dragon on red to you as well? That would make it the Blackfire sigil, the opposite of House Targaryen sigil. But Prince Valar is second in line to the throne after Prince Baelor. Do you think it was a mistake? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. In this shot, we see Sir Humphrey Harding coming out of his pavilion. His helm is lying on the chair beside him, which has a woman and the head of a demon with horns carved on it. That is a really weird choice, but who am I to judge? Here, we get another look at Prince Aerion's cloak. You can get an even better look at his cloak here. Like I mentioned earlier, what seemed like silver lightning at first was actually the inside of his cloak. Back to this shot, we also get a closer look at Lionel Baratheon's tent, which, just like the entrance of his main pavilion, has antlers around his smaller tent. In the next shot, you can see Prince Aerion's shield with a golden three-headed dragon sigil on it. Doesn't this sigil remind you of someone? I've already mentioned before that it reminds me of the Green's banner and Aegon II's sigil from House of the Dragon. It's funny how Aerion, whether intentionally or unintentionally, is copying both Aegon II and Prince Daemon Targaryen, aka both the Greens and the Blacks. In this shot, we get another look at the cheering flags that I've already mentioned in my previous videos. As you can see here, there are a lot of black and red flags, meaning a lot of people are cheering for Aerion Targaryen right now. Well, not for long. You can get a better look at this flag here. In this shot, you can see that Sir Humphrey's lance has the red diamond paint of his sigil. You can also see the Tully and Tyrell banners to the side and Lionel Baratheon's huge pavilion in the back. And in this shot, we get a layout of the tourney ground. Remember how I had counted 6 lanes in my episode 1 breakdown video? It seems like the lane closest to the Targaryens will remain empty, which makes sense if they want to keep High Lords safe from any kind of accidents. So I counted that lane as 0 instead of 1 this time. Aerion and Sir Humphrey are standing in the middle lane and we can see a large number of small folks have gathered to watch them. Behind the small folks, you can see the camp of House Bracken, which means we will find House Blackwood on the opposite side. Their feud has been going on from even before the events of House of the Dragon. Even farther back, you can see the Ashford Castle. I think the light I mentioned in my previous video might have been from the castle instead of a lighting mistake as I thought earlier. Then we get a better look at Aerion and his tourney lance in this shot, and at Sir Humphrey and his tourney lance in the next shot. I've already mentioned the differences between a tourney lance and a war lance earlier. In this shot, once you zoom in, you can see the broken lance through the horse's neck disappears and then appears near the end, making it seem like the end is floating in the air. Then we get a closer look at one side of the tourney grounds. You can see the banners I've discussed in my previous videos and a rack of lances for the squires to pick up and bring to their knights. In my previous videos, I had said there were some other houses' knights along with the Ashford and Targaryen men-at-arms trying to contain the riot. In this shot, we can see which other house was helping them. Yes, House Bracken. You can see someone heading towards the small folks with a House Bracken shield, and in the next shot, you can see that knight getting swarmed by the crowd. We also get a closer look at the shield statues in this shot, which once again shows a knight on a horse, but this time with a lance. Next scene. Then Duncan takes Egg to the feasting tent I had mentioned earlier, where Sir Lionel and Sir Manfred's singing improves Egg's mood, who had gotten really upset by what had happened at the tourney grounds. On their way back, they meet a fortune teller who tells Dunk he will be successful and be richer than a Lannister, which is a ridiculous thing to say. I don't know why, but she kind of reminded me of Maggie the Frog and Miri Mazdur from Game of Thrones. But I'm not sure this prophecy will come true. Dunk will become successful to be sure, but rich, not gonna happen. And for Egg, she says he will be king, die in a hot fire, worms will feed upon his ashes, and all who knew him will rejoice in his dying. Who does she think she is? Helena the spoiler queen? But seriously, do worms even eat ashes? We know at least 2 of these prophecies won't come true. The worm part and the rejoicing at his death part. At least not for the majority of the 7 kingdoms. Anyway, I feel like she was wrong about the people rejoicing part, because the people loved Egg. The only good thing I could think of out of that event is the birth of Prince Rhaegar. I've already discussed in my episode 3 livestream about how this could be the reason why Rhaegar ran away with Lyanna Stark, not because he fell in love with her. I'm dying to know the real reason behind Jon's birth. If you wanna know my theory on it, you can watch my Howland Reed's role in Jon's birth video. I'll post the link at the end of this video. We can tell by the look on Egg's face that he is scared, but he might start believing in the prophecy once some of it comes true, like when he will become king. He might also start believing in some dragon dreams, and maybe he finds out about a dream or a prophecy about the dragons returning in this world again, which could have led to the fire part of the prophecy. But that's just my theory. Don't take my word for it. It's really hard not to talk about spoilers at this point, but I'll drop this topic here. Then they run into Raymond, and Raymond invites Dunk to the Fossaway Pavilion. Egg offers to stay and watch the puppet show to pick up Dunk's shield later, while Dunk leaves with Raymond Fossaway. Book to show changes once again, other than the last scene where Raymond invites Dunk while Egg offers to collect his shield part. The rest of the scene doesn't exist in the books. Like I said earlier, other than a few major scenes, most of this episode is not from the books. Details: in this shot, Dunk and Egg are at the same feasting tent with the same cups I mentioned earlier. You can see the cup clearly in this shot. And in this shot, you can see Dunk has also bought Egg some food, probably to make him feel better. I really love how sweet their relationship is. Then we see Lord Ashford and Plumber in this shot. Either Lord Ashford is seeing petitions or he is just checking on things at the meadow. In this shot, Dunk is still carrying Sir Arlan's dagger around with him. We can also see Dunk and Egg heading towards an armorer's stall. Tanselle's pavilion should be to their right. And in the next shot, you can see what I had discussed in my previous videos, that Tanselle's pavilion is right next to the smiths and armorers. You can get a closer look here. In this shot, you can see that Tanselle's group has hired this girl to invite new customers. I think she is the same girl who had joined Dunk and Egg's side in the tug of war game. Remember how I had mentioned her in behind the scenes trailer breakdown video? I was surprised that she was the only girl in that game. It was definitely odd. Either she is an extra with some extremely good connections, or she might be a spy following Dunk and Egg around. What do you think? In this shot, Tanselle is looking at Dunk. It almost feels like she was starting to like Dunk back. I don't know, I'm just a romantic at heart. And it's classic George R.R. Martin. You know, the bittersweet feeling, the regret that things could have been so much better if only this or that had or hadn't happened. For example, if only Cat hadn't kidnapped Tyrion. Or better yet, if only she hadn't kissed Littlefinger. Or if only Ned had told her the truth about Jon. Or if only Ned had listened to Lyanna and cared more about her than Robert, so many things could have been different. That's what I felt for Tanselle and Dunk, even though I had read the books. So they did a really good job. Next scene, Dunk talks to Raymond inside the Fossaway Pavilion. Raymond asks Dunk who Dunk wants to challenge, and then they start talking about the tourney. He also tells Dunk that Prince Baelor has announced Sir Harding as the victor and had given Aerion's horse to Sir Humphrey. When Dunk laughs at the idea of Aerion intending to kill the horse, Raymond gets mad and goes on a rant about the Targaryens. As I said earlier, they are using Raymond and the riots to show the growing discontent and anger among the people, especially the small folks towards the Targaryens. And the one thing keeping the Targs in power, aka the dragons, are gone now, along with the fear they brought with them, which would explain all the rebellions in the later years. Raymond calls the Targaryens incestuous aliens, blood magickers, and tyrants who burned their lands. By the way, I loved the mention of blood magic in it. I used to love it so much back in the day that I had even created a whole video discussing all types of blood magic used in the world of Game of Thrones. You can check it out if you want. Anyway, then Raymond starts counting their crimes against them, saying, "They burned our land, enslaved our people, dragged us into their wars without a mote of respect for our history or our customs." Do you agree with what Raymond said here? Because except for the dragged us into their wars part, looking at you, House of the Dragon, the rest just seems like hypocrisy to me. It's the same logic I have used against Sansa's reasoning for wanting the North and to get out of the Targaryens' control in my Game of Thrones breakdown videos. When Raymond said they came and took our lands, I was like, didn't your ancestors, aka the Andals, and before them, the first men did the same to the children of the forest. If they don't want to acknowledge the rights of conquest, they better start looking for the children of the forest and return their lands to them, because their ancestors also conquered this land using the rights of conquest and continued the ruling through the rights of succession. That's also why Dany had better claim over anyone, because she won through the rights of conquest, not through the rights of succession. Then Raymond mentions all four of Prince Maeghar's sons, Daron, Aerion, Mr. Aemon and Aegon. At this point in the timeline, Mr. Aemon has probably just joined the Citadel. According to a wiki of Ice and Fire, Mr. Aemon was born in 198 AC and was sent to the Citadel at around 9 or 10. That would make it 208 AC. And the events of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms begin in 209 AC. So yes, he is definitely at the Citadel right now. Anyway, Raymond was just talking about Aegon when Egg bursts in and asks Dunk for help. Book to show changes. In the books, Raymond also tells Dunk that now that Sir Humphrey is hurt, the jousting will continue with 4 champions only and Sir Humphrey will remain the 5th champion. In the books, Dunk hasn't decided whose shield he wanted to strike, but on the show, thanks to Plumber's offer, he considers challenging Sir Andrew Ashford. Even though it might be dishonorable, I'll be honest here, that doesn't sit right with me. Dunk is known for his honor, even if he might have lied about his knighthood. Also, in the books, Dunk knows what Aerion did was intentional, but he refuses to believe it himself, just like with Sir Arlan. He even scolds Egg for saying otherwise. But on the show, it seems he genuinely believes Aerion didn't do it on purpose, tries to console Egg, and even laughs while talking to Raymond, saying Egg thought Aerion meant to kill the horse. I wonder what he would do if he finds out. Aerion even tried to kill the horse's rider as well in the books. In the books, Raymond doesn't go off on a rant about the Targaryens, calling them incestuous aliens. He doesn't get as angry at the Targs in the books as he does on the show. Details. In this shot, you can see the Fossaway apple in the decorations of the Fossaway pavilion. You can get a better look at the Fossaway apples in this shot. You can see a whole fake ass apple tree with fake apples hanging above them. Kind of like the apple version of a chandelier. Daron was right. If Aerion was a Fossaway, he would be hanging in this pavilion and they would all be a whole lot safer. In this shot, you can see Raymond's dagger and there are apples on his tunic as well. You can see more apples and apple trees in this shot. Next scene, Tanselle was playing the role of Servant of the Mirror Shield again. I've already explained this play in my episode 1 breakdown video. Aerion, who was already in a bad mood because of Prince Baelor's decision, arrives to see Tanselle killing Urax and gets furious. Dunk arrives in time to see him break one of Tanselle's fingers, loses all reason, and punches and kicks Aerion to save her. Just when Aerion was going to punish him, Egg comes forward and reveals he is Aerion's younger brother, Prince Aegon Targaryen, and the episode ends there. Book to show changes. This scene is almost exactly like in the books, except that the puppets were smaller. But in the books, Aerion recognizes Dunk, saying, "You look familiar," and Dunk says, "You took me for a stable boy," and Aerion says he recalls. And then he orders his men to get a hammer to break his teeth, unlike the show, and then orders his men to even cut him open to see the color of his entrails. So as I mentioned earlier, the book Aerion is much more crueler than the show version. Also, in the books, one of the Targaryen men-at-arms even kneels before Egg. That would have been so cool to see on the show. The Targaryen men-at-arms kneeling before Egg. I wish I could have seen that. Details. In this shot, you can see that Aerion is wearing a chainmail under his tunic and we get a closer look at his sword. If you zoom in, you can see there are red rubies on Aerion's golden rain guard. There are also Targaryen men-at-arms behind him. As I mentioned earlier, he was already in a bad mood, and this chainmail and sword proves that he came looking for trouble. In this shot, you can see the same gong I had mentioned in my previous video. In the next shot, it seems someone from Tanselle's group might get killed, as we see someone lying on the floor with a woman crying over him. we get yet another look at Aerion's dagger, which looks similar to Prince Daeron, Prince Maekar, and Prince Daemon Targaryen's dagger, which I've already discussed in my previous videos. You can get a better look at his dagger in these shots. We've already discussed his dagger multiple times by now, but in this shot, we also get a look at the sheath of his dagger, which looks almost exactly like the sheath of Prince Baelor's dagger, which I had mentioned in my episode 2 breakdown video. In this shot, we see Tanselle wearing a blue and gold capelet. I had already noticed this capelet in episode 2 last week when Dunk and Egg had met Tanselle and asked her to paint his shield. I didn't mention it then because I didn't think it was that important. In the next shot, it seems Raymond has brought Sir Stephen, who is dressed in an armor. It seems they were ready to take on Prince Aerion. Kind of hard to believe for a coward like Sir Stephen. I'll post my A Night of the Seven Kingdoms episode 4 livestream at our usual day at 11:30 PM EST. If you liked this video, please hit the like button below, share the video and subscribe to my channel. Have a great day. Bye bye. 7 blessings to you.